It's time for some unlearning, and this is going to hurt a few millennial feelings, but you need to know the truth. Pluto is not an underdog story. You just fell for some Pluto propaganda. I still see people posting about justice for Pluto as if he's just a scrappy little guy who can't get the respect he deserves. But you only think that because you saw drawings of Pluto that look like this or this. But when you were a kid, all we had seen of it was this. All those drawings of Pluto were fanfic. You have been looking at Planet Deviant art. We had seen so little of it that for the first 50 years we thought this fuzzy blob was Pluto, but it turns out that fuzzy blob is actually Pluto and its moon Charon. That's two separate fuzzy blobs that we counted as one. Its discovery was originally due to a rich weirdo named Percival. He was positive that there was a massive planet bigger than Jupiter that was outside of Neptune. He was also positive that there were canals on Mars that aliens used to water their crops. Neither of those panned out, but his family money was enough that he was able to build an observatory that eventually found what it thought was Pluto, but turned out to be Pluto and Charon. As we got way better at finding fuzzy blobs in space, we discovered Eris, which is more massive of a fuzzy blob, and also Ceres, which is a much closer fuzzy blob. So if you're sad about Pluto but not about Eris and Ceres, it's not because of what they actually are, it's because of the drawings you were shown. I think it's totally fine to ignore scientific classification when it doesn't make sense in your everyday life. Like nerds will say that tomato is technically a fruit, but you put it on salad, not on cereal. That's a vegetable. But saying that Pluto got slighted because of drawings you saw is like saying that a tomato is technically a branch of law enforcement because you saw an episode of VeggieTales where Bob wears a sheriff's star. Time for some more unlearning. Number 1, we know how bees fly. This was memorialized forever in Bee Movie.
According to all known laws of aviation, there is no way that a bee should be able to fly. Its wings are too small to get its fat little body off the ground. The bee, of course, flies anyway, because bees don't care what humans think is impossible.
It is true that a French scientist in the 1930s said he couldn't figure out how bees fly, but it's also true that we invented jet engines in the 40s and space flight in the 50s, so it's safe to say humans didn't stop learning about flight in the dirty 30s. Also, what's this bee got to be so smug about? He doesn't understand the physics of how wings work either. Shut up, bees. Anyway, we know how it works now. They flap their wings really fucking fast, and honestly, it's surprising we took this long to figure that out, but we did figure it out before Bee Movie came out. Shut up, bees. Number 2, America didn't spend $1 billion on a space pen while Russians just used pencils. We did use pencils for a while, and then we stopped because it's really dangerous to use pencils in places where if the lead breaks off and gets into machinery, it blows up and kills everybody. But we did not spend any money developing a space pen. The Fisher Corporation invented the space pen on their own because they thought it would be sick, and they were right, and then the government just bought some for $3 each. Oh, and since you love the Russian space program so much, guess what? They also bought the pens. Number 3, penguin isn't business goose in Mandarin. I saw this the other day, and I thought it was so delightful that it must be made up, and of course it is. Also, you could have told that it was not true because they don't look like a business goose. If anything, they look like a swanky party goose. But importantly, according to all known laws of science, the penguin shouldn't be able to fly, and it can't. Score another one for science. Shut up, bees. It's time for some more unlearning. This week, home field advantage. I talked about this last week on the Cooligans podcast, but I want to go into a bit more detail here. Home field advantage exists in basically every sport, with the highest being in soccer/football at 69% nice and the lowest being in baseball at 54% not nice. It does exist, but the unlearning is about what causes it. Everybody wants it to be because we have the best fans in the world, and we root for the home team, and if they don't win, it's our fault. The problem is there have been a surprising amount of studies about this, and that doesn't seem to be the actual cause. Neither are the other main theories, like travel fatigue, stadium conditions, or scheduling. The one factor that has shown up in study after study is referees. Underneath those zebra stripes are home colors. Soccer/football has the highest home field/pitch advantage because it's one of the games where the refs can have the biggest impact. Take stoppage time, an objectively stupid part of an otherwise great game. A study of the Spanish Top Flight League found that games where the home team was down by a goal last an average of 2 minutes longer than games where they're up by 1 goal and want it to end quickly. The good news is you don't have to rely on refs' vibes to time games anymore. We have watches that can stop and restart. And it's not corruption. They just seem genuinely affected by crowds. You would think that somebody who signs up to be a universally reviled sports cop does it because they don't care what people think of them. But apparently, they very much do. A German study found that in stadiums where the crowds were a little bit further away from the game, the refereeing bias goes down. I hate that this is the takeaway because referees are technically people, but the best way to help your team, according to science, is to abuse them. It is about fans after all, but it's not rooting for the home team. It's yelling at the refs. Time for some more unlearning stuff I was told as a kid by adults that turned out not to be true at all. Number 1, your blood is never blue. I was told by a teacher that your blood is blue going to your heart and red going away from it because of oxygen, and that's not true. It can be darker red or brighter red, but it's always red. If your blood is blue, you are either very sick or a horseshoe crab. Veins look blue through some skin tones because of boring stuff about how the skin absorbs light, but it's an illusion, just like telling kids that they can be anything they want, even though they went to a school where teachers don't know stuff. Number 2, your body temperature is not supposed supposed to be 98.6. That was always just an average, so thinking that you're sick because it's not exactly that is like thinking that you're weird and gross because you're not exactly 5'9". Whatever height you are wonderful, unless you're over 6'4", and then yeah, you're weird and gross. New studies show that the average temperature is actually decreasing, so now it's around 97.9. So the Earth is getting hotter, but we're just chilling. And number 3, if you touch a baby bird, its mom won't just reject it. It's a good policy not to touch birds, but bird parents aren't out here turning their chicks into orphans because you got some of your human stank on them. Human parents, on the other hand, will frequently reject their children if they turn out to have blue blood or be over 6'4". It's just too weird and gross. It's time for some more unlearning, stuff I was told as a kid that turned out not to be true at all. Number 1, cracking your knuckles isn't bad for you. I'm surprised this myth is still around because it's been so thoroughly debunked by a lot of big studies, but more importantly by one very small, perfect study. Dr. Unger cracked the knuckles in his left hand twice a day, every day, for 50 years, and he never did it on his right hand. That is amazing science, so I think we should all give Dr. Unger a simultaneous, hearty cheers. Number 2, the ancient world wasn't austere and minimalist. When we see old buildings and statues, they're usually just plain white marble, but that's not how they were originally displayed. Ancient Greeks and Romans painted the crap out of their stuff. It was gaudy and weird and decidedly maximalist. We see the dead, sun-bleached version of the Parthenon, but it originally probably looked more like this, which makes neoclassical architecture so funny. If governments and banks were honoring this time period, their buildings would be explosions of color. The White House would be the purple and gold house. It would look like it was decorated by your weird aunt. Instead, they're like, check out this government building. It's designed to look like a decaying empire. Number 3, the spelling of your family name wasn't changed at Ellis Island. This is a popular family lore for a lot of people, and it just isn't true. The way Ellis Island worked is they just had lists of passengers on ships, and they would look at the lists and ask you questions. There was no paperwork where they could be changing names to make them more American. Ships sometimes did make mistakes, but mostly what happened is people changed their own names before they got on the boat or after they arrived because they wanted that name. So to our ancestors who changed their names and those that didn't, and also the ones further back who painted their statues weird, I offer you my heartiest cheers.